joining us on the New Bridge Radio Show. You can also catch us online at newbridgeradio.com. Find us on Facebook under New Bridge Radio Show or follow us on Twitter at New Bridge Radio. Now let's connect you with what's next.
Welcome back to the New Bridge Radio Show on WLTK-DB. Let's talk. I am your host, Kevin Mackey, and we are connecting you to what's next in your life. And we're here to remind you that you are important to this world and you matter. And we sure are glad to have you along on this episode of the New Bridge Radio Show. This is the last and final episode of the New Bridge Radio Show. But remember, you can still catch us on the archives. They'll be available on the New Bridge website. All you got to do is just head on over to www.newbridgeradio.com. Also, remember, if you would like to book an intuitive reading with me or a distant Reiki session, you can do so on my website. My website is www.limestreetwellness.com. That's www.limestreetwellness.com. You can book a session there. Also, if you use the promo code BRIDGE, you'll get 15% off your session, and that promo code will live on in perpetuity. You can use it in 2023 or 2023. And I'm excited to hear from you. Now, tonight, we have the great honor and the great privilege to have best-selling author, teacher, and guide, Kerri Hummingbird, back with us on the New Bridge Radio Show. She's here to give us insight into her new book, Internal Medicine, Becoming One with Mother Earth for the Survival of Humanity. And really, this book is a wake-up call for all of us to suspend all we have learned and entertain new and hopeful possibilities. And I tell you what, I am so excited about it. I can't wait to read it. The book releases April 22nd, Earth Day this year, but you can pre-order it right now on Amazon. And I am so excited. Welcome back, Kerri, to the New Bridge Radio Show. We are so thrilled to have you.
Thank you so much for having me back. I'm excited to be here, and it's wonderful to see your show, in full bloom, and it's great to be here.
I know. I'm thrilled too. You were our very first guest when we had our very first live show. right before the show, I was saying, hey, that first time I was so nervous.
Well, but then you realize it's just a conversation. We're just going to have a conversation, and it's fun.
It is just a conversation, and it is so much fun, especially when you have somebody as extraordinary as you are, because you have lived, when I read Second Wave, I was like, oh my gosh, talk about somebody who decided, I will overcome. You really did. And that's what makes you kind of one of the most interesting people that I could ever think to be on our last show, because you just have such a great energy of not only compassion, but overcoming. And making us see all the weird things that we kind of ignore.
No, that's part of overcoming, right? I mean, we have to get courageous to look inside and see what's in there with us, because there's lots of different aspects inside of us. Every single one of us has tons of different aspects inside. And so we want to get familiar with what that is so we can actually lead a good life. And it's when we ignore it that things go a little bit haywire, but when we actually start to pay attention inside, it's definitely challenging, because, we might find some things we don't like. Everybody's got a few things about themselves they don't like. But as we face those things, then we live a better life, because we know what's in the soup.
Exactly. So I'm curious to know. So just when I first saw the title of your book, I was intrigued, because there have been times where I'll tell you what, there's been 3 times being an intuitive. And I don't know if other intuitives have ever come to this kind of situation, but there have been 3 times since 2015 where I have woken up out of a dead sleep. Oh my God, we're done. We've made the worst mistake possible. And you get up and you're just like, and it's a feeling that is just there momentarily, like something in the timeline happened that where we could have gone into a very destructive way, but we didn't. We avoided it. And I'm curious about how you came about the book.
Yeah. Well, the book is it's time, the title is Inner Medicine, and it's time for inner medicine because we have a lot of people on the outside of us telling us how to be or how what's wrong with us, giving us a label or a diagnosis. Many of us that enter on the spiritual path, we come across those labels at some point because however we're behaving or whatever we're thinking about is outside the normal box, the muggle box, And so once you get outside the muggle box, you start getting labels, and so but we got to go inside to navigate it ourselves. And guess what? We're the only ones who can. Like all these external medicine experts, all they can do is sort of sit on the outside of you. And based on what you're saying and how you're presenting, they can kind of make a little guess about what's going on for you. But they're just guessing. They're literally guessing because unless it's a broken bone, they don't know. They don't have a machine to tell them what it is. And the whole system is set up for machines to tell them what's going on. So when you enter the system of psychology, even psychiatry now, they have a system. So they fill out the little system in the computer when you come in to see them, and in 5 minutes they give you a medication. That's
Mhm.
how it works now. There's no like Jungian deep knowledge psychologist, psychiatrist person. There are some somewhere, but I guarantee you they're outside the system because they got tired of that. So we got to stop listening so much to like what is outside of us and what somebody outside of us with their little computer system thinks is going on with us, and we need to start listening inside. Not to say you wouldn't incorporate some of that information from those quote experts into your assessment of yourself, but you want to like do your own assessment and take the driver's wheel on that. And maybe you might find that there's another kind of map you could make for yourself that would give you more options and more opportunities and more potentials. Like, for example, one way is, they go in the office and get your diagnosis and get your pills. That's one way. But here's another way. Go look up your gene keys chart. Go see like what's my soul's curriculum based on my time and date of birth that might perfectly explain where you're going through all the stuff you're going through in your life. You might go, you might get an astrological reading and go, oh my gosh, that explains why my life has been so crazy for the last year. I'm going through a Saturn returns, I mean, so, there's a whole lot of things to explain what's going on with you that are things that you can navigate on the inside and say, is that feel true for me? Does that make sense to me? And then if it does, then you're the one that's, in charge of your destiny. You get to decide where to go next. No expert on the outside gets to tell you that.
Exactly. The other part of this that I'm excited to talk about is the connection to Mother Earth and the connection to nature. And I think I shared this with you before, but I kind of came to a place where I was sort of forced to have a break and have a time away. And during that time, the only thing I did was make breakfast for my dogs.
That's
And
probably very healthy.
right, make breakfast for my dogs and then walk in the forest. And I would just spend hours in the forest. And what really started happening is, I had an extremely stressful job before I was forced to take the break. We dealt with emergency situations and outages and all kinds of chaos things where you're working with first responders and doing very intense work. And I had done it for, years and years and years. And I didn't realize how much of that energy I had stored in my own body. When you're every night you're in the same kind of stressful environment, I didn't realize how much it was, stored in me. And as I and and as I was walking through the forest, in that time of rest, I started, healing. I started feeling more connected to what was going on around me, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, nature has a way of healing us and taking care of us. And I was taught that lesson firsthand by the universe. And so, tell us a little bit about Mother Earth and the survival of humanity, and how Mother Earth is connected to all of us.
Yeah, because the second part of my title of my book, the first part's inner medicine, but the second part is becoming one with Mother Earth for the survival of humanity. And you might go, dun, dun,
Right.
dun.
Dun,
Like,
dun, dun.
what does that mean?
Mhm.
And what it means is exactly what you're talking about, because it's a state of consciousness question. So, what is the state of consciousness with which you're approaching the problems or challenges in your life? What's the state of consciousness? And if the state of consciousness is fight or flight and running around like a chicken with your head cut off, and emergency to emergency to emergency to emergency to, I can't even sleep at night, I got to take a pill because I can't sleep, and oh my God, everything is, and if it's like that, you're making decisions based in that consciousness. And the decisions you make from that consciousness are based in fear and survival and scarcity. And humanity's been doing this. And so what we want to do is we want to switch into human resonance. We want to switch into alignment with the heartbeat of Mother Earth. We want to get really grounded, put those tootsies on the earth barefoot, like get them on the earth, sit your butt down, back to a tree, be taking long hikes in nature, take a break from the work, take a disability for 9 months or whatever you can get away with, and just really get grounded and really get still and quiet with yourself and slow it way down. And when you do that, your heart opens. And when your heart opens, your mind opens. And when your mind opens, possibilities emerge that you didn't even see before. And you have trust and faith and lots of feelings that you realize that the earth is opening up little tiny breadcrumbs for you to walk and follow on the way to your awakening. And what we want is a lot of really grounded, awake human beings with big hearts making decisions for the planet. That's what we really need. We're only going to make those decisions from a calm, grounded, heart open space, from the consciousness of what many people are calling Homo Luminous. This is the awakening of our consciousness, the new human. The new human is the one that's divine. The new human is the one that remembers timelessness. The new human is the one that's not in a hurry and that isn't worried, because the new human knows that we all co-created this experience so that what? So that we would be forced into doing our soul's work. You see, that's the confirmation. We would be forced into doing our soul's work because it's the end of the, it's like the fifth extinction. Oh, dun, dun, dun. Like it's time to get serious. And so we all need that wake-up call. And here it is. And you actually do have to do your self-mastery work now, or we will perish. So, it's kind of like that. So,
Right.
but you notice I'm not worried about it, because I already know that when souls wake up, the kind of decisions that souls make are really brilliant decisions. And, it's like comes out of nowhere almost. It's like the brilliant solution is just like poof, right there in front of your face. And when you do it, it cleans up a bunch of mess. And then all of a sudden it works better and it's graceful and it's easy. That's what we're going for. So, but we got to change our consciousness. We got to slow down, choose to slow down and get out of that fight or flight.
And start cleaning up a little bit.
A lot, actually. But yes, get your broom out, get your dustpan. Everybody in the woods, everybody in the ocean, everybody, we're going to clean up Earth.
Exactly.
Be the stewards we came here to be.
Exactly. Now, what I find interesting is you have this broad experience that comes from working with the shamans in Peru. And you have learned a lot from them. And just give us a little bit of that, of how this amazing country has kind of changed your perspective on just about everything.
Yeah, Peru is amazing. And the Andes Mountains are the new epicenter spiritually for the planet as of 2012. And so it shifted from the Himalayas over to the Andes. And so that's why all these people since 2012 have been fascinated with Peru. And like, that's why I was, I was pulled to the epicenter. And when you look at my chart, actually, my astrological chart, the line of teacher and purpose goes right through the heart of the Andes. So I'm here to teach Andean medicine. I'm here to bridge that medicine for people. That's what I'm designed for. So of course I was fascinated, wanted to learn everything about it, so we're designed to be fascinated with the thing we're meant to do, and so all you have to do is follow that. So Peru has some really beautiful medicine. And in the Andes Mountains, the medicine is energetic. It's soul medicine. And they use the Apus, the sacred mountains, as allies. And what they do is they work with the land and they work with the sacred Apus to awaken you. And they work with stone medicine, so like crystals and stones and things like that, because stones are really smart. Everyone just thinks stones are stones, but stones are really smart. They're like galactic. They have lots of wisdom from like eons. And so we can leverage stone medicine to have rapid transformation. And they have this really cool technology called the mastana. And the mastana is a cloth that's woven with the sacred intentions, the sacred medicines of the lineage. And what it does is it creates your own universe. The cloth itself holds a space for your universe to exist. So anything you place inside the mastana becomes something you're working on in your own personal universe, which is you, of course, your soul. So what we did is I said, well, that's really cool because I've experienced this medicine through my teacher, Alberto Villaldo from the Four Winds. And so when I was called to step forward to teach this medicine, I thought, how am I going to do it? And like instantly, I got an invitation from Richard Rudd, who is the founder of the Gene Keys. And the Gene Keys are based in the I Ching medicine, which is really ancient Himalayan medicine. And the I Ching charts all of human suffering and all of human high frequencies and these really handy dandy charts. So you can go from the shadow to the light and you can arrive in the middle way. And so I love this medicine of the Gene Keys. Richard Rudd channel, just amazing stuff. Everybody should go check it out. It's amazing. And I said, that goes in the middle of the mesa. That Himalayan medicine goes right in the middle of the mesa, and that creates lightning. So that's what we do. We put that Gene Keys chart in the middle of the mesa and bam, it's like lightning happens in terms of personal growth. And it's not a striving, it's not a studying or striving or like read the whole Bible book. It's not like that, trying to figure it out. No, it's an energetic. It's like it just comes over you and you realize things. And then you realize more things. And it's upgrading your, it's a frequency held in place by the stone medicine. So it's really cool technology. And so most of my work with students is with the energetics and with the mountains, the Apus, with the Caro medicine from the Andes. But I also like to go to for my own personal edification, I like working with the plants. And so I do like to go to the jungles of Peru. I like to work with the Shipipo, and I've worked, there's a fun story in there about jaguar, finally integrating my jaguar in the jungle and what that was like for me. So I worked with tobacco, and I talk about that also in the book, tobacco medicine. After being a young kid that was like telling my mom, put out your cigarette. I hated smokes and all that. And I hated it. And I would did my whole book report on get rid of those cigarettes, Mom. But this is not the same thing. This is tobacco medicine. Yeah.
Yep. I think we're the same age. And, my parents smoked too. And, it was so different then, right? So I can remember my mother was a big time smoker, and I can remember she had an enormous car. It was like a 1968 Plymouth Fury, biggest land mass ever. And I can remember my mother driving and my sister and I standing in the front seat. Just standing in the front seat, like people would be horrified these days if they saw how we grew up. They
knew how we drove in cars.
And I remember my mother going to stop, and she's holding her arm out to hold my sister and I with the cigarette,
trying to protect you with that cigarette lit.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's how it was with smoking and the crowd and our parents and the crowd that came before us. So tobacco medicine must have been I can understand perfectly.
It was so weird, because I'd had all these years of really hating the way it smelled and just like disgusted. And I did smoke for a little bit in high school. And so I went through a little brief period, but then I was like, ew, I don't want to do that. And then to realize that tobacco is a sacred medicine. And oh my gosh, when used for healing, it heals. I mean, I use tobacco now in healings over the phone, and people will be telling me, I can smell that tobacco all the way over here. And I think I can feel it moving through me. I'm like, that's because it is, and you're getting healed. But yeah, tobacco is a sacred medicine. So I actually drank it in the jungle, prepared by the shaman for like 10 days. So that was a really unique experience. And now I have tobacco on the inside of me in my matrix, because that's how they do. They introduce the plant medicine to your body. And then kind of like Spider-Man gets all, if you've ever seen Spider-Man, the spider bites him and then all of a sudden he's got this matrix inside of him that's like all spider. It's the same. It's like I have a tobacco matrix inside of me that protects my system, protects my body and my energy from invasion by things that are less high vibration.
Nice. So out of the there was a extraordinary documentary called Call of the Forest about the same thing that you're talking about plant medicine. And they made a point in that documentary. 90% of the medicines that we take from the pharmacy come from plants. They're made by, they're plant-based. They're plants that make us. And this may sound kind of kooky, but did you feel like, as you're learning about the plants, did you kind of come across a consciousness in the plants themselves?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, ayahuasca is a really good example of a plant that has a really amazing ability to navigate your consciousness and show you right to the door of the things that you need to be looking at. It's like, whoa. So yeah, the plants are amazing guides when you leverage them in a respectful way and you are part of a sacred ceremony with them, rather than just kind of like getting high, like I'm not a fan of that. I don't really think that's a good idea. I think it's, that's how I started anyway. When I was 22 to like 28 or something like that, I was living in the Bay Area of California, and I was going to Grateful Dead concerts and definitely having my share of mushrooms. Okay. It was not a secret experience. It was just for fun, So I know what that's like. And that's one experience. But it doesn't do any harm, but it doesn't also, the medicine itself is so potent. It's kind of like, why would you take it for, a ride like an amusement park when you can actually heal yourself with it? You can actually go through and realize things like major realizations. You can even get some of that brilliance I was talking about, solutions for the world's problems, like right from a medicine ceremony with one of these plants. These plants are incredibly smart, and you want to be careful how you interact with them. You want to work with a trained professional and somebody that, is a shaman in the jungle, for example, and is recommended to you as being high integrity. These are all really important. Getting a firsthand reference to somebody that is really high integrity, really, really good with the medicine.
Exactly. Now, is your relationship with the shamans different? I remember your first book when you first went down there, and I'll never forget it ever again, where the translator, where they were talking about you, they kept looking at you and you asked your friend, what are they saying about me? And they're like, they're saying you're one of the rainbow people.
Yeah, you're rainbow people.
What?
You are a starseed. You have landed.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why, I kind of outed myself when I wrote the book, The Second Wave, right? And I was really nervous about writing that book because I was like, man, people have told me my whole life I was crazy. Now they're really going to say it.
They're really gonna think it.
No, they're really going to have evidence of it. No, but really, when you're a starseed, you just know. I didn't know that because I was asleep for a long time, but when I woke up to it, it was really obvious to me. It was like, well, yeah, I know I am a starseed. I don't belong on this planet. This planet's crazy. I don't know how I got here. But then if you're like that, you really do have to fess up and own that you you did choose to come here, and you
Mhm.
did choose to incarnate as human, and you did choose to elevate human consciousness at this time on the planet. You choose to do it from the inside out, and thank you very much for your service. And we've done a lot of hard work. So for everybody who resonates with that, is like, yeah, I'm a starseed, and my God, this has been a tour of duty. Yes, it has. And thank you for your service. And we're not quite out of the woods yet. We almost are. We're really close. I mean, everybody can probably really feel the change in the energy this year. Like, oh, we're on the home stretch. Okay, cool. Like, it really is. We've been saying for a long time, the time is now. And I
Right.
think we can all feel it now. It's like, oh, okay, we passed some major milestones, and we're actually in the home stretch. It's like, great. People are waking up. Awesome. And the sign of that is people are going haywire and like really losing their stuff. They're like, they're going through the depressions, and like the problems can't be solved, and Western medical is failing them. And those are all really great signs. That means that we're in the home stretch. People are really going to wake up en masse, and then we're going to have a whole different planet. So it's good news that people are hysterical right now.
Yeah, right, but along with that, there's really fantastic things happening.
Yes.
Yeah, you know what, Carrie? I started becoming kind of addicted to TikTok. And what was fascinating about it was I was, scrolling through TikTok, and you can literally spend like hours doing it. But once they kind of, start understanding your, you know, who you are, and they do it. It's a smart algorithm. Who knows how they do it? But you start coming across people who are doing extraordinary things. Like there's a young lady on there that's a Reiki healer, and every night she has a live broadcast, and all she's doing is she's doing Reiki healing. And I was very, skeptical and sarcastic looking at this when I first tuned into it. I'm like, this is going to be stupid, or I was just very down on it. And all of a sudden, this girl was so humble, and it just had such a great deal of compassion, wanting to help other people. I started feeling the energy. I'm like, she hit me once, and then it kept coming and coming. I'm like, oh my gosh, this girl is doing something.
Oh yeah, they are. They
This young
really
lady,
are.
yeah, she is actually doing something. There's energy being directed at me. And I was like, this is amazing. And then there were all these other people that are starting to talk about, you know, if we would have been sitting here, maybe just even 10 years ago, talking about past lives and, hypnosis and QHHT and all those things, people would think we were crazy. Because remember that book that Shirley MacLaine wrote, Out on a Limb?
Yeah,
Did
she
you?
was out on a limb too,
Yeah. I,
but
I
somebody
remember.
had to do it.
Yeah, exactly. And she was talking about there are aliens. There are aliens in the earth, and everybody just thought Shirley MacLaine was way out there.
No.
And boy, she must be just beside herself these days.
Well, yeah, because now the starseeds are like, I'm a starseed, woohoo! And you can tell because we're really different,
Exactly.
It's not normal muggle human. I mean, but I want to say at the same time I say that, I want to just really clarify that these codes for awakening on the planet right now are open to every single person in a human body. Every single person, whether you have a starseed aspect or not, doesn't matter. It's open for everybody. Everybody can achieve it. Everybody can do this. Everybody can receive the codes and fulfill the prophecy, every single human. And so it just takes your willingness to suspend disbelief for a half a second and say yes to the healing, right? Like say yes to that Reiki that girl is sending out. Say yes every single time you see something like that, and you're going to be elevated because we're doing this together, and we're all doing this together.
Yeah, exactly. We really are starting to question our reality and everything that we believe in. Because we've kind of been conditioned to think one way. Like we all live in square houses, and that's just the way we're supposed to do it.
Meanwhile, yurts are getting very popular.
Exactly. There's these young people in Canada that have been building these off the grid homes. And I've been tuning in every week, watching these kids, struggle and work hard, and they they've built these solar arrays that power their whole system, their whole homestead. And it's like, um, they're they have free energy now. They
Yes.
don't pay any kind of bill, and they've drilled wells. They've planted gardens, growing their own food. I'm like, this is amazing. Like, I think everything is changing.
Yeah, we're creating what we desire. What
Mhm.
those kids are doing is they're saying, "What do I actually want? Not what's available. What do I actually want? And then how do I build that?" And they're doing it in community, which is
Mhm.
the new model. So that we're entering the age of Aquarius pretty solidly next February, I think, 2024. Very solidly in the age of Aquarius next year. So we're still in a little bit of wobble adjustment between the Pisces and the Aquarian age right now. So that's why it's a little bit kind of tumultuous and chaotic. But, we're making that bridge and then we're going to be fully in it. And so a lot of people are going ahead and preparing the things that they want to be true for New Earth and beyond just dreaming it. Like many of us are sacred dreamers. We're dreaming the visions. We're praying and dreaming those visions into being for how we want humanity to interact. And we know that the soul work of the age of Aquarius is relationships. So we're turning to our relationship with each other, our relationship with body, our relationship with self, our relationship with the planet, our relationship with animals and plants. So we're going to be having a really, and we already are starting to see that, the flourishing of relationship. Like, how do we be in right relationship with each other, which is going to make the Four Agreements book just go off the charts in terms of sales, because that is a great tool for, being in right relationship.
I know. Hey, you know what? We'll have to. I'll have to say something about the Four Agreements, but We're at the bottom of the hour, so we have to take a really quick commercial break. We will step away for just a moment, and we will be right back on the New Bridge Radio Show.
Looking for a holistic solution? Look no further than LimestreetWellness.com. Lime Street Wellness is a full-service Reiki therapy center offering in-person and distant Reiki sessions. Additionally, Lime Street Wellness is committed to helping clients co-create healthier outcomes with hypnosis, QHHT, and intuitive advice. Lime Street Wellness is committed to helping all that are seeking to co-create better health, peace of mind, and greater freedom. Reiki Master Kevin Mackey uses energy medicine, hypnosis, mindfulness, and intuitive guidance to assist in uncovering, understanding, and removing any blocks or energy cords or mental mindsets that may be intruding and causing needless suffering. Visit Lime Street Wellness today at LimestreetWellness.com. That's LimestreetWellness.com.
Welcome back to the New Bridge Radio Show on WLTK-DB. I am your host, Kevin Mackey, and I am talking to Kerri Hummingbird. And we are having a great conversation. You know what? You mentioned the Four Agreements right before we went to break. And I think we both have we both kind of come across that book in strange ways, but we have both met Eva Charlotte.
Yes, she's fantastic.
Oh my gosh, she is an amazing human being. And for people who aren't caught up on that, Eva Charlotte became intimately involved in the Four Agreements and Don Miguel Ruiz. And she is an amazing human being. She jumped out of a plane, she went to do skydiving, jumped out of a plane at 4,000 feet, and her chute didn't open. And she landed on the ground with just her ankle.
It's amazing. It's truly amazing what she went through. And she experienced her greater self during that fall.
Exactly. And it was, and the way she described it was kind of in, kind of in a slow motion where she could see everything in it. And We both came across those stories and about the four agreements, and is the path that so many people have come across and come on. And it's been such a interesting journey how we all come together. And we're all like, guess what? Guess what? We don't have to live in this fearful, up and down economy way. We can actually broaden things and make things more communal and be a lot happier. And the thing about the four agreements is that kind of Toltec wisdom was kind of, you know, uh, kind of unmentioned before, but now I find a lot of people talking about it now, don't you? In your
Well,
experience?
yeah, it's really a backbone of our new earth communities that are forging because it talks about really basic stuff, like, be impeccable with your word. That's a really important thing. Be impeccable
Mhm,
with your word, because the word is creating reality. And so we want to be impeccable with our use of it.
mhm,
And, don't take anything personally because it's not about you. If somebody else has an issue, it's not about you.
mhm.
Only if you make it about you, and then it is about you. So learning how to do that, and then don't make assumptions because we make tons of we connect dots all over the place that aren't necessarily connected. And then do your best because that captures the whole self-judgment piece, like if you made a mistake or you
Exactly.
did something less wonderfully than you wanted to,
Yep.
so I think they're very simple. We're kind of getting away from this, like needing to have a 7,000 page book to explain how to live correctly, you know, to like a really simple book that you can just practice the teachings and read it. I mean, I read that book probably 35 times front to back when I first got started.
Right.
Because I read it and I was like, "That's so easy.
Right.
Can't be that easy." And then it's not that easy, actually.
Right.
And
And
you
then
go to try to do it, it's like, "Uh-oh, I gotta read the book again."
I know you're always like trying to describe the four agreements to somebody, and you're like, wait a minute, I've forgotten two of them.
Those are
I
the
need to go.
ones you need the most.
I know, but I love the way that Eva Charlotte first started to learn it all down there. And Miguel had her sit in front of a mirror and say over and over, I'm a parasite and I'm addicted to suffering.
Yeah.
And she's like, I thought it was the stupidest thing ever.
Yeah, but we have to realize, I mean, it's like Eckhart Tolle talks about the pain body. We've got to realize that that pain body is present and it's
Mhm,
fueled by, a history, an ancestral history of all this lifetimes of suffering. And now we're changing directions.
mhm.
So we're not going to be in the suffering model anymore. We're going to be moving into creation model, which is, what do you actually want to create? What do you actually want to experience? What more is possible? I mean, we kind of like, I think, reached the edge of exploration on how many ways human beings can suffer repeatedly using the same dramas. We're kind of past that now. So,
Mhm.
what we want to do is explore new frontiers, of human consciousness and what can we possibly create if we weren't suffering?
Exactly. Exactly. And I think as we start exploring and we start questioning all of these things these crazy things that we've been doing, that's when we start finding things out. I think the connectedness is really what is changing everything, Carrie. It's so easy now to contact and communicate people near and far, and and have these kind of conversations where we're talking about, oh, you know what I found out today? um I woke up and heard a voice when I was waking up. It sounded like a spirit voice and somebody else. That happened to me.
Exactly. It's very validating, isn't it?
Exactly. And
Because it's not just a voice in your head. It's like you heard the same thing and somebody
Mhm.
else says, "I heard that exact same thing." Or I got
Ex-
that exact, and then you talk to 20 of your friends and are like, "Yeah, we all heard that message." So it
Mhm.
kind of debunks the whole like diagnoses stuff. It's like, actually we're just actually hearing something. It's really happening. We're actually hearing the same messages come through. All these people across the whole planet. You can hear the same messages.
exactly. And earlier you mentioned the Schumann resonance. And the Schumann resonance is the resonance of the earth. And the Schumann resonance has been, if you're someone who has been keeping track, it's something that has been changing over the course of the last 3 months. And it's something I feel that is definitely changing people as well. And uh, uh, I kind of feel like, in a way, uh, we're kind of giving ourselves permission to know the big mystery, right? Okay, we're not just these little meat suits. Really, we're really these expansive, multidimensional beings. Is what
Yeah.
we're starting to discover.
We're letting ourselves discover that. And
Mhm.
yes, because now is the time to clean up our mess. It's kind of like, we have brought the planet to a place where she's like, okay, children, now it's time to clean up.
Right.
I have reached my threshold for what I can handle. So time to clean up. Everybody wake up now. Everybody take off the masks. Everybody work together. And so we're entering the massive cleanup party we were talking about earlier. Like, get your broom, get your
Hmm.
mop. Like, we're going to clean up now. And so in order to do that, we do have to wake up, because the only part of us that has the answers is the timeless one. The small self has some nice ideas, and maybe some of those ideas will work out, but the brilliance comes from the timeless one that knows that it's connected with all the universe and is tapped into the mycelial network, and Dora's web. Like, that's how we're really going to make decisions. Because
Hmm.
if you've ever noticed, and I know everybody here has had a discussion with somebody with a different point of view, when you're like in your egoic personality and you're talking to somebody else in their egoic personality, and you guys are talking from different points of view, it's really hard to come to the same agreement. It's like hard to make a decision or
Right.
come to like diplomacy. But when you do it from soul, it's super easy, because you've already got the download. Like, you got the download, you talk to the person, you're like, oh yeah, I got that same download. And now everyone's on the same side. Isn't that great? And then we all agree. It's like, yeah, time to clean up the oceans. Cool.
E-
How are we going to do that? Oh, well, I got this great download. Oh, I got the same one. It's like awesome. Now we're talking the same language. We can get stuff done.
Exactly. Exactly. So, out of curiosity, how long did it take you to write the book, Internal Medicine?
Inner medicine,
Or,
it took, gosh, I started and stopped different
Mhm.
books until I realized that I wasn't supposed to write those books. And then I was like, oh, I'm writing this book, Inner Medicine. Okay, now I know why I was starting and stopping. And from the time I actually realized what I was doing, it's probably been 7 months of writing the book, which is longer than the second wave. The second wave took me like 6 weeks.
Mhm. Well, yeah, I'm in a weird place myself. I do a lot of automatic writing, and I've been doing it probably for 10 years. Which is kind of the reason why New Bridge Radio Show is ending, because there's this other thing that's just so much taking over. And I've been going through these writings, and I'm like, "Oh my god, this is really good."
Well, that's exciting.
Did- This, and luckily for me, I was uh, decent and good to write down the date and the time and what was happening when this automatic writing came through. And so, and I thought it's always seemed like a small amount, to me, Carrie. And all of a sudden, as I'm starting to go through them again, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a lot. This could be, maybe, two books, the way I'm looking at this now. All this information that started coming, and it started coming from an awareness that started to increase. As I've gone through Reiki attunements, and as I've experienced regression, all of these things, have kind of contributed to these stories. So I kind of relate to writing messages now. So, what is the most important? Don't spoil the whole story for us, because we want to. But what is the most important message of internal medicine in the book? you feel?
Yeah, the most important message of inner medicine is really to follow your own path. I mean, this message came out in the Second Wave book as well, with a unique thumbprint. You know, if you look at your thumb, you find a unique thumbprint. That's the clue. I mean, spirit is really obvious because we know how confusing it is when you get in a body. So we keep it simple and basic. Okay, your thumbprint has a unique thumbprint because you're unique. There's nobody else like you. You're the only one that's going to walk that path. And so the encouragement goes even stronger into that and says, listen, step into the mystery, walk away from the conditioning, take the great departure from everything that you were taught or everything you thought life was. And everybody said you have to live this way to live a good life. Leave all that behind. Leave behind the diagnoses. Leave all that stuff behind. That's a version of the story. And now you want to step into being the master creator of your own life with your soul, of course, your self, your capital S self. And you want to reveal and discover who you're really here to be. Because all of those experiences that you had leading up until now were only preparation for who you are becoming. As you take command of your life and you become the one wielding the pen, as Kevin is, wielding the pen, then now you get to be the hero or the heroine writing your journey of what it all means because you're a storyteller. Every human being is a storyteller, and you get to tell your own story. Don't let somebody else tell your story for you. That's so depressing. Tell your own story, what your life is really about, and why you've had all those experiences. What is it building to? What is it leading to? And then that's going to be your purpose. That's what you're here for. So all of us have a unique purpose, and it's revealed in the gene keys, like I talked about. Like when you get your map, you're like, oh my God, that's me. That's where my brain always cycles around all those stories all the time. That's me. That's my little jam. And when you see yourself in that, you know you were uniquely designed. And so nobody can tell you that you're supposed to be just like everybody else. No, you're not. You're yourself. And so that's the biggest message is take the journey to reveal yourself, strip off all the masks and all the conditioning and see what's underneath and see how you can love yourself, who you've been up until now.
Exactly. It kind of reminds me of there was a book we had to read in college. It's called Fire in the Belly on Being a Man by Sam Keen.
Oh, that's a cool title.
Yeah. If you're brave, pick up that book and read it. But it basically talks about the patriarchy and how men are conditioned to be a certain way. And when you look at it, men are raised to be violent, really, and aggressive. And that's what the book is about. And so you go through that book and you go on a retreat. And you've got to go to the mountain and you've got to say, okay, this is what I believe. This is what I want my story to be. And I had read the book. I did the exercise. And I went, what was the weirdest thing, Kerri, is I had grown up in kind of a evangelical Christian, kind of strict way. And I remember going on that journey and I had a Bible with me on that journey. And I ended up taking it and opening it to 1 John 4:16. God is love, and he that abides in love abides in God. I cut that out of the Bible and I chucked the rest of it away.
Yeah, you don't need anything else. You don't need all those other pages.
That's all I need.
Because it's really confusing, actually.
Right,
like there's so much not truth mixed in with truth in that book. And people latch on to different parts of it depending on their level of consciousness and then start like getting really righteous about it. And it's like,
exactly.
Actually just focus on love. Like if your eyes are sparkling and you're treating people really well, including yourself, you're doing good.
Exactly.
Like it's super easy. Like actually just be a good person. It's like very simple. Try not to get in anybody else's way, stay in your own lane, discover yourself, and your eyes are sparkling, you're doing a good job.
Exactly. I couldn't agree more.
Let's just simplify the whole thing because it's getting way too complicated. People are like waging entire centuries long wars over it. And it's like, actually just about sparkling eyes. If you could just
Sparkling eyes.
sparkle eyes, you're doing good.
And being compassionate and kind, and letting ducks go across the busy highway.
Yeah, exactly. Be compassionate.
Be
Be
compassionate.
compassionate.
Exactly, and try to put yourself in that. I feel like that's when, years from now. This is going to be a Kevin prediction, Kerri.
Okay.
I feel like years from now, maybe 10 years from now, we're going to be completely different. All this animosity that we have now, this divisiveness that we are kind of have been battling for years and years, I think it's all going to be gone.
It is.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to have it. The other thing I don't think we're going to have is we're not going to have the weird kind of economy driven kind of stuff we have now. I think people are going to be a lot more chill in 10 years and a lot more connected. I feel like this stuff that's happening that we kind of think is weird, finding out that we're spirit beings and finding out, oh, we've lived many different lives.
And by the way, we created all the conditions we're now experiencing, and so
Right.
it's no one else's fault but ours, and so we need to clean
Right.
it up. Like, yeah, that
Right.
kind of stuff.
I think we're going to have a huge epiphany. We're going to be like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, we don't have to live this way anymore. We can just be, chill. And I think our art is going to be 10 times bigger, better. I think our music is going to be astounding and out of this world. And I think that we're not going to have the careers we have now. We're going to have creative careers where we're creating, we're creating art, we're creating music for each other. And we actually know, I think if you're living isolated now and you feel kind of depressed, hang in there.
Yeah, please don't give up, because we're
Yeah.
almost there, you guys. I mean,
Hang in
like
there.
those of you who are depressed and suicidal, like, please don't give up. Like, we're almost home. Like, we're
Yeah.
so close. It would be
Yep.
a shame to miss it, and we're so close. So please stick around.
Yep. You will not regret it.
No, it's like the biggest party ever is coming your way. I mean, really.
Mhm.
Yeah, because we're all waking up, and once you wake up, you're pretty much in tune and in harmony with others, and you sort of get the same downloads and messages, and it's like chill. It's like, oh, okay, that's what we're doing. All right, cool. That's what we're doing.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Exactly.
And like, what part do I play? Just let me know. What's my part?
Yep.
That's it. And now it gets like a lot more fun, because
Mhm.
we're going in the same direction.
Mhm.
So we're about to do that. And that's Homo Luminous. And the Homo Luminous is just going to bloom. That's what they keep showing me is, right, they're showing me right now is like, there's just going to be like people's brains are flowers blooming. Like, it's just going to bloom like that. It's going to happen just all by itself. And, but getting yourself prepared for it is a good idea. Like, doing some kind of spiritual inquiry or meditation or contemplation or willingness or receiving, like the stuff you were talking about, and like, or inner medicine training, like doing something like that to like sort of prepare yourself or be ready for it or say yes to it on an ongoing basis. That's helpful, but it is just going to kind of flower all on its own. It's going to be a garden. Bam, just flowering.
Exactly. I can't wait until we are there. I'm excited about the book. I can't wait. I've already, you know what? I already went to Amazon and I already did the pre-order.
Oh, yay!
And everyone can do that tonight. You can go and get that pre-order. It's coming out on Earth Day.
And there's a special ceremony, Kevin. I'm going to do a special global ceremony on Earth Day with my Carol friend Tomas. He's going to do some prayers, and we're going to honor Mother Earth. And if you're in Austin area, you can come with me later in the day. We're going to do it at Unity Church. And so all the details are at the website, kerrihummingbird.com/inner medicine. And it's all there. And I'm so glad you got your pre-order. Are you going to join us for the event too? We're going to be at 2:00 Central. Are
you streaming it?
Yeah, it's going to be live.
Oh, nice.
It's going to be over Zoom. We're going to stream it, and it's going to be live, and everybody can add prayers to Mother Earth. We're going to do a love bomb on Mother Earth. We're just going to love on her. Just like,
yeah.
You
had me at love bomb.
Love bomb on Mother Earth.
Yeah, that's all you had. You had me at love bomb. So yeah, absolutely.
Super fun.
That sounds like something that I have been needing.
Yeah, I mean, we all get together and we'll just say our prayers and send love and dream dreams of Mother Earth and the kind of reality we'd like to experience. I mean, that's what souls do best when they come together is they dream and imagine and create. So that's what we're gonna do.
I'm there. I'm there, Kerri. I'm there with y'all. So I want to thank you so much, Kerri, for coming and being our guest. It is always such a delight to talk to you because you are probably one of the best human beings on this planet. And I'm
Aw.
so glad I got the opportunity to say hello and to talk about your new book. I want to say something to the listeners and loyal followers of the New Bridge Radio Show. This is not the last of me. You will probably hear from me other times, as I go on this journey and do all this next level stuff that the universe has decided it's time for me to do. But I can't thank you enough for tuning in every week, for downloading my podcast, for being a part of the show, for giving me suggestions, for giving me criticisms. It's all appreciated. And I want to thank all of you for tuning in here every week to the New Bridge Radio Show. And I want to just remind you and say, you are important to this world and you do matter, and hang in there. And thank you for listening to the New Bridge Radio. Everyone have a great week. Have a great rest of 2023 and join us on Earth Day for Kerri's love bomb to the Earth.
Yes, please.
Good night, everyone. Thanks for being a part of our show.
The truth is here and now on WLTK-DB Talk Radio at WLTK-DB.com.